is wrong with you? Come on. Yeah, good girl.
Trauma-informed care is about a culture change. It's about shifting the way we understand behavior and how we respond to it.
I think if people knew about trauma-informed care, I don't think I would have gone through as much.
An understanding of trauma's impact on physical and mental health first emerged more than 20 years ago. In response, trauma-informed care has emerged in the decades since.
How do we start, asking every single time we're working with families that question, that the trauma-informed question of switching the lens from, what's wrong with you to what happened to you?
Trauma-informed care expert Elizabeth Hudson says this so-called switching the lens results in a perspective shift, allowing teachers or caregivers to recognize why a child might be acting out or shutting down.
What becomes hard is when the behaviors push people away or turn people off.
Tammy Fry says after her mother died and she was removed from her father's care because of abuse, her anger would erupt.
I got charged with battery, and then I spent most of my years in detention.
One of the big shifts in perspective is being able to see the behavior as a communication.
Communication as the expression of trauma. But with trauma-informed care, the point is to not blame or shame people for their behavior.
You want to fix my hair?
We know that one of the hallmark symptoms of kids trying to sort of work their way through that overwhelming stress, for some of them, is to stare blankly at the chalkboard.
Yeah.
An experience familiar to Alicia Fox.
But there's ways to deal with it now.
And the teacher's approach is critical. If I approach her and I say, hey, and maybe startle her further by banging on the table, I'm actually potentially going to make it worse. If I'm more careful and informed about how I approach her, I might actually help her relax and settle down and make it better.
But what we know about many of these kids is they have had to adapt to the stress in their life by, in many ways, shutting down when it comes to relationships, because relationships have been the hardship and they have caused the danger and the lack of safety.
I built this wall where it was like, after a young age, I knew that it was only me.
When Reina Saldana was removed from her home because of abuse, she was placed in a succession of facilities. But when she was 12 years old, she says a riding mentor made a critical connection.
I didn't really have anybody until I met her. I went out there originally not because I wanted to ride horses, but because I got in trouble with the law and I had to do community service. And she let me know that there were things about me that she loved, that I could love, that I just had to understand myself more.
Trauma-informed care experts say safe and trusted human connections are the key to healing and behavior change. Connections like those Alicia Fox came to develop with her grandmother and aunt.
The keeper, aren't you, Bella?
We know it's the relational dance with other people that is going to build their neural capacity to have stronger relationships.
Good dog.
One of the kind of insidious and lesser known impacts of kids who experience trauma is often their source of identity, their families that are hurting them. How do you make sense of that?
I was just trying to survive until I got older, and you become more knowledgeable about relationships and things like that. And then I finally was like, well, this doesn't seem right.
The trauma-informed care model emphasizes physical, psychological, and emotional safety.
With enough grown men and women who help you, who provide safety, who provide regulation or relaxation, eventually you can at least establish a competing truth. And then you've at least got a fighting chance.
That fighting chance comes from developing resilience. Research shows the #1 factor for children who develop resilience is having at least one stable and committed relationship with a caring adult.
Once you make connections like that, you're strong enough to tell your story, and you deserve a better life than what you're living right now.
Resilience also comes from learning how to self-regulate, especially when overcome by anger.
As soon as I start to feel an emotion like that and then process it away from people and like collect myself, helps me be able to go back and then approach the situation at a different angle.
Caring adults can show children how to regain the calm within themselves.
One of the main things that we can do for kids and families in these situations is allow ourselves to be at peace and balanced during our interactions.
The idea that the possibility of another alternative exists is the beginning prospect of hope. And we see those stories all the time. Kids, families, adults, even now a growing number of communities who are feeling the effects of saying, there's a whole new truth. There's a whole new possibility. Maybe all humans don't hurt. Maybe I can relax and take some relational risk. Maybe I can feel safe. That really is the essence of what the outcome of trauma-informed care is all about.